Ever feel like you're just stuck? You're trying every single productivity hack, every new marketing tactic that pops up, but you're just not seeing any real, lasting results? Well, here's the thing. The problem probably isn't the tactics. It's the lack of a real, cohesive system. Today, we are going to build a single framework that connects everything from how you organize your own mind to how you build a sustainable business. Let's dive right in.
Okay, so the first thing we've got to get straight is the difference between a method and a model. See, a method is temporary. It's like that viral TikTok trend or some flashy sales script. It's a one-trick pony, and frankly, it expires like a carton of milk. A model, though, a model is the engine. It's the permanent underlying economics of a system, the math that makes the whole thing work. Methods are always going to change, but a truly strong model is built to last.
So here's our roadmap. We're going to start with that core principle, choosing models over methods. Then we're going to build this whole thing from the inside out. We'll start with layer 1, which is all about freeing your mind. Then we'll move to layer 2, forging your path to mastery. And we'll finish up with layer 3, building a real value engine. Then at the end, we'll see how all 3 of these layers just lock together to create a system that's pretty much unstoppable.
All right, let's really dig into this first big idea. The whole concept here is that focusing on a temporary how, some specific tactic, is a losing game in the long run. The real power, the sustainable power, comes from understanding the why. It's about knowing the fundamental model that makes something work, no matter what platform or trend is popular this week. This quote from the productivity guru David Allen, it is the perfect place to start. He said, "Your brain is for having ideas, not for holding them." Think about that. Before you can even dream of building a business model, you have to build a model for your own mind. Because if your brain is just a messy, overflowing filing cabinet, you have absolutely zero space left for the creative thinking you need to build anything worthwhile. And that leads us perfectly to the foundation, layer 1, freeing your mind. The goal here is actually pretty simple. We need to build an external, totally trusted system to handle all the details, so you can free up your internal brain power for what it's good at, creative problem solving and building valuable skills. This external system, it's built on 4 non-negotiable pillars. First up, your calendar. This becomes your single source of truth. If it's not in the calendar, it doesn't exist. Period. Second, your email. You have to treat it with a one-touch approach to get to inbox 0 because, and this is crucial, your inbox is not your to-do list. That list is the third pillar, and you got to separate your daily tasks from those someday/maybe ideas. And finally, a reliable cloud-based file system to keep every document in its place. But here's the catch. This is the psychological trap where most people fail. They only commit about 99%. And for your brain to truly let go of that background anxiety, that nagging feeling that you're forgetting something, it can't just trust the system most of the time. It has to trust it completely, 100%. That's right, you have to capture 100%. Every single task, every idea, every appointment. Anything less, and your brain knows it can't fully relax. So it keeps running that little background process of worry, just in case. When it comes to freeing your mind, it is all or nothing. So, once that mental space is finally clear, we can actually use it for something important. And that brings us to layer 2, the path to mastery. This is where you invest all that newfound clarity into building skills that have real, tangible value in the world. And it really helps to think of skill acquisition not as some abstract concept, but as a physical process. With focused effort, you are literally rewiring your brain. You're forming new neural connections. You are building the infrastructure of competence, one deliberate brick at a time. So how do you actually lay those bricks? Well, the path follows a pretty clear progression. First, you just aim for accuracy. Just focus on doing it right, even just once. Then you build consistency. You practice in all sorts of different situations to improve your success rate. Only then, after all that, does fluency emerge. See, speed isn't something you chase, it's the natural result of becoming consistent.
Okay, so now you have a clear mind and you're building a valuable skill. Now we get to layer 3, building your value engine. This is where we translate that personal mastery into an economic model that allows you to not just compete, but to actually win. To really get this, let's use a quick analogy. Imagine 2 gyms. Gym A sells a cheap $21 trial. After a month, what do they have? $21 in cash and a lot of hope. Now Gym B, they sell a $600 transformation challenge right up front. After a month, they have $1,000 in cash. So, which business can afford to spend more on ads to get the next customer?
Yeah, it's not even a fair fight.
This brings us to the first key variable in our business equation, lifetime gross profit, or LTV. And listen, this is not revenue. This is the total profit you make from a customer over time after you've paid for the cost of actually delivering what you promised. It's the money you actually get to keep in your pocket. And the second variable is customer acquisition cost, or CAC. This one's simple. It's the price tag to get a new customer. You just take all your marketing and sales spending for a period and divide it by the number of new customers you got. It's what you paid to get them in the door.
Let's make this super concrete. Imagine you sell a fancy sandwich for $100. The ingredients cost you $20, so your profit per sandwich is $80. Now, if a loyal customer comes back and buys from you 10 times, their lifetime gross profit is $800. The entire game, the whole shebang, is to make the gap between that $800 LTV and your acquisition cost as wide as humanly possible.
So what does that gap need to look like in the real world? For a software company, with no human employees delivering the service, a 3-to-1 ratio is considered pretty healthy. But what about a business that relies on actual people, like a marketing agency, a coaching business, or a gym?
Wow, for that kind of business, a 3-to-1 ratio would be a death sentence. For a service business, you need a ratio that's much closer to 12-to-1. Now, why so high? Because as you grow, you get hit with something called a scale tax. Your ad costs go up, you have to hire more people, you need managers. It all adds up. A 12-to-1 ratio gives you the margin to absorb all those costs and still thrive.
Okay, let's put it all together. Because these aren't 3 separate ideas we've been talking about. They are 3 interconnected gears in a single powerful flywheel that just builds on itself.
Here is exactly how that flywheel spins. It all starts with your productivity system, which clears out the mental clutter and gives you space to actually think. You then invest that space into skill mastery, which builds a real, concrete ability to deliver value. And finally, you wrap that ability in a strong economic model, which gives you the leverage to grow and reinvest right back into your system. You see? Each layer feeds the next, creating this incredible virtuous cycle. And that brings us to the final, and honestly, the most important question. The whole point of this isn't just to be more organized or even to make more money. It's to build a system that frees you to do what you're really meant to do. So now that you have the framework, what will you have the space, the skill, and the leverage to create?